What's with these damn ducks? What? I need to get my ducks in a row. All lined up, something for the portfolio, so I can help the business grow. Oh, I see. Well, here, let me show you a finance channel that'll know the answers to your questions and everything you need to level up, to get these damn ducks in a row.
Hi, Matt.
Hi, Kamelah. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for being back on. I really appreciate this. So let me ask you this. The internet seems to be, Black Twitter in particular, seems to be very pro Gypsy Rose.
Mm-hmm.
This infuriates me to my core.
Mm-hmm.
For a lot of different reasons, but I want to hear your take on Gypsy Rose.
Well, Gypsy is actually, even though I do like true crime, and nothing makes me happier than seeing a woman take control of her life. I am not super familiar with Gypsy. I didn't even watch the one where Patricia Arquette played her mom. This is not like one of those stories that I know all the ins and outs of.
Okay.
Do I think that she did something wrong? Yes. Is it up to me to question the sentencing that she got and her current freedom, which is all completely legal? Like, that's not up to me. Like, she went through technically legal due process in the United States of America. So if the court system said she gets to be free, I mean, I can have an opinion about it, but it's not like
Okay.
up to me. I don't really care. I don't think she's going to do it again. I don't think she's going to kill anybody again or have somebody killed again. I don't think that's like, I don't think she was in the process of building a habit. But what I think you might be, yeah, like I don't think it's a Joe Exotic situation where it's like every time they
Right.
get nervous, someone's got to die. I don't think it's one
Yeah.
of those. But I do think that with Gypsy, it's the same thing that you're seeing with Donald Trump to some level. It's that I
Mm.
think because we are a community that has been over policed, and we do have a long history of people being incarcerated for unjust amounts of time, with
Mm-hmm.
spurious evidence and all this sort of thing, that you're sort of seeing an overcorrection. You're sort of seeing the pendulum swing in another way. Whereas, we're going to be for a long time, I think, Black America is going to be on the side of I didn't see nothing, I didn't hear nothing, she didn't do, she didn't do. Accidents happen
Right.
sometimes. I think that's the side that we are as a group going to kind of be representing, because for the longest time, whenever a Black person did anything or even didn't do anything legally, the white American legal system was always in a hurry to say, well, interesting evidence, who cares? Or, if we even got to trial, if we weren't hanging off of a tree. So I do think that it's sort of like it's a back and a forth, and it'll continue to swing.
Here's my thoughts on Gypsy Hood Rat Rose.
Ah!
So I think she was 22 or 23 when all this happened.
Uh-huh.
And I feel like if you were old enough to manipulate this man into
Mm-hmm.
helping you kill your mother,
Mm-hmm.
traveling across state lines or across the state or however he did it,
Mm-hmm.
um, if you were old enough to put this kind of plan in motion, you were to get up and walk out the house and never look back. I don't see why you had to kill this woman. I don't see why this young man is in jail for life and
Mm-hmm.
Gypsy is doing a press conference, but that's neither.
Do we know if he is on life without parole, or does he have a chance for parole at some point? Do we know
I
that?
think he's life without parole. I think that was most of the problem because he was life without parole.
Because that I
He
don't
might
know.
have
And
parole,
once
but
again, I'm
life is
not
a long
sentencing here, but I think without parole is really kind of tough, because once again, I don't think with either of them it looks like that they were building a habit. You know, I keep on coming back to that. It's not like a serial killer situation where they literally have to be removed from society because they are literally gonna do that no
Matt,
matter
one
what.
time is too many. One time is too many, Matt.
Okay, so I'm not sure if I said this on the last recording. I think I do. I
Okay.
personally feel that's not, and I don't think this needs to be every person's recourse, obviously. But
Yeah.
when especially women are being abused, whether it's, you know, medical abuse, whether it's sexual abuse from a partner, you know, physical abuse from a partner, but whatever. Honestly, the law does not seem to be very helpful. And your only
Yeah.
real choices are law or violence. And if one doesn't seem to be very helpful and the other one is too extreme, there's a logic that says at least too extreme works. It does
Mm.
create another problem. But if I know that
Hmm.
my only one other point of recourse is not very effective, I can suffer that and then stay up for the rest of my life wondering if they're going to kill me. Because most women, like if you look at this Gypsy case as a situation of domestic violence, as domestic abuse, as child abuse, as family abuse, women who leave domestic violence situations are more likely to get hurt after they leave. They're more likely to get hurt after. So I understand the rationale that says there's one way out. Because if you give me the
Okay.
choice between law and violence, I know violence works.
Okay. I I think of that like it's more dangerous when you leave when it comes to like a male female relationship,
Mm-hmm.
marriage, or boyfriend girlfriend. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know how I feel about that with mother daughter because your mother doesn't expect for you to live with her your whole life and play crazy forever. I'm sure she doesn't. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know why Gypsy just didn't get up and walk off. But what's even more concerning to me is how black people are rallying behind her.
Mm-hmm.
The last time I've seen this was with OJ Simpson,
Yes.
with your crush.
Yes, I have a little bit of a crush on OJ. I can't. The juice is adorable.
And he wasn't making a habit of it, so we can ignore that he just killed his wife that and her new
Well, no,
boyfriend.
because the thing that he did have a habit of was domestic abuse, which I'm not a fan of, as I, you know, just detailed. So, like,
Hmm.
that he definitely did and does have a habit of. I think dating him probably, you, you maybe start white, but you change colors because he, like, it's very clear he's going to beat you the fuck up. It is very clear. Like, I'm making a joke about a serious thing that, you know, relates
Hmm.
to us because, like,
Hmm.
quite seriously, he has a history of it. How many dozens of phone calls were between Nicole and the police? And how many times did his first wife not call the police because she knew she was black and it was 1975 and nobody cared?
Yeah.
So, I mean, do I think he's physically attractive? Yes. Do I know that a relationship with him would hurt? Yes. Because I don't think he has a habit of killing people. I think he has a habit of being a domestic abuser, which is disgusting, and that typically does end in murder. Like if
Yeah.
it keeps on going out, the back and the forth and the push and the pull, it has to stop eventually. And it typically ends with a Nicole ending. You know,
Yeah.
or because like not most women, unfortunately, and you know, whoever finds themselves in that position, like you really want to be Julia Roberts and sleeping with the enemy? Like running away, terrified for 2, 3 years, and we finally come, someone else has to kill.
Right.
Like they don't let you go.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I think maybe Gypsy didn't see a world in which her mother was alive, where they were both on the same planet and her mom wasn't trying to puppet string her. Like, I don't think there is any world where they could have a healthy relationship or even go no contact because her mom would just simply not take that.
Perhaps.
I don't know. Again,
Perhaps.
I'm not advocating for murder as an option as a solution to your social issues.
Right.
But when these things do happen, I am interested in the psychology of the murderer. I am.
So once upon a time, me and my mom weren't on best terms.
Mm-hmm.
and I cut her off. I stopped talking to her for like a year. The
Mm-hmm.
only time I would talk to her, because my parents are married, they live in the same house. If I talk to my dad and she answers the phone, there we go. But I
Mm-hmm.
used to keep it short and brief. Hey, mom, is dad there? And I did that for like an entire year.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know why Gypsy couldn't just pick up, move. Women aren't as aggressive as men are. So when you're in
Mm-hmm.
a domestic situation with a man, like, and he's physically abusive, I think that's way worse. But with your mother, I don't think your mother is gonna, hop state lines and track you down and, you know, beat you at the house or anything like. I didn't think her mother was gonna do that,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll never know because she killed her.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I just think
Now, no, in the same
Gypsy
way,
Rose had other
because I
options.
don't want my logic to look completely biased towards women and that like I have no brains in my head. In the same way that I don't think OJ is really built to habit of murdering people. Like I don't think he's gonna like before his 80th birthday have a surprise for us. Like in the same way,
Mm,
I don't think OJ's doing that. I don't think that Gypsy has a habit of murdering people, but what I do think she probably has a very firmly established habit of is going to be using other people to get what she wants done. Like her husband is
yeah,
most likely just going to be a tool for her bidding, whatever it is that day, because that's that seems to be a very powerful thing for her.
right.
And that's
Yeah,
probably not going to disappear, even if the murderous tendencies do.
yeah. The manipulation, the puppet stringing, like, yeah. I don't like her. I don't know. I don't know. I just felt like y'all got a house. Okay. As horrible as her mother was, she didn't conned all sorts of nonprofits for a house, for modifications to this house for Gypsy, for money, for everything like that. Okay, she's horrible. She told you had to sit in a wheelchair. She wouldn't let you grow up. I get it. But I hate to say, but she took care of you. But she paid the bills. She put a roof over your head. Like she was. I don't think this woman was doing it. She did it for y'all. Am I looking at this wrong?
Yeah.
You benefited from this too. Gypsy Rose benefited from this too. A lot of people I know didn't grow up in houses. Gypsy, they gave her a house. I don't know. She benefited from it too. So for you to get to a certain age, right, where
Uh-huh.
your little body's throbbing and you want to have a physical relationship with a man and your mom's not really on that,
Mm-hmm.
that's why you killed your mom. I don't know if it was all the manipulations because you got trips to Disney World, Disneyland, here, there, the beach, all these other things. You were benefiting from it
You're
too.
really telling me that if her never got hot, that she would still be in the chair right now getting a free check? That's really what you believe?
100%. I think she got to a certain age and her little body started itching because it was all good. You didn't want to say anything to anybody. You were perfectly fine until you started being on these chat rooms and these what they used to call them when we used to call those numbers and talk to random people.
I
When
disagree
you did this,
totally. I disagree totally. We are very opposed on this. So I
really?
think it is absolutely, absolutely repellent when anybody brings up that you were fed, you had clothes on your back, you had a roof over your head. That is the bare minimum, and nobody asks to be born. So making sure that I wake
Mhm.
up tomorrow is not some great big wonderful thing that you should act like was an achievement or an accomplishment. The same way that I don't get a pat on the back for doing my dishes since I'm a single man who lives alone by myself in my house. If you have kids, you feed them. You take them to Goodwill if you can't take them to Kohl's, and you make sure that you have space big enough and that they have somewhere to sleep. Like, you don't get an award for that. Just because the alternative is your kids getting taken away. No, that's the worst possible circumstances. That is what I would call like, that's the bare like the state minimum standards of parenting are even lower than that. They say so long as you can reliably get to a shelter that you have somewhere to take your kid. That doesn't mean that it's good enough. Just because someone else's parents were a drug addict and they turned out okay, does it make that the new standard? Disgusting is disgusting just because sometimes, there are exceptions. So I don't really think that that's like helpful at all in this conversation or in any conversation. I come from more of like the bell hook side, that I don't really feel like love and abuse can exist in the same place. If you had it in me to do all this evil, then everything else that was good had to have been for you instead of me, since you had to take out how much you hated yourself somewhere, and I happened to be the other side of that. So I don't.
Right.
We're very opposed. We have our own reasons for it. We're very
Yeah.
opposed because then people always want to say, "Oh, puberty this, puberty that." She was horny. Puberty also helps your brain start to turn from an adolescence closer to an adult. That teenage phase is getting through that. The hormones develop your brain as well. So maybe things were clicking in her head that, like, the same way it does for every other 16-year-old girl. Oh, maybe I don't have to listen to my mom all the time. Okay, maybe this is wrong. Maybe the way I was raised is wrong. And then it took her 5 years to figure out what to do about it. I don't know. I don't know.
Maybe. First, I don't think her mom was giving her the bare minimum, because I know a lot of people that don't own a house. I know I've never been to Disney World or Disneyland. I've never taken all these extravagant gift trips. You know what I mean? I've never been given all these things. I think you do have a point with her growing up and hitting puberty and then being like, something doesn't look right here. But again, I don't think Gypsy Rose has ever paid bills. I don't know. I don't think she knows how hard it was. I think she took her.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say. I think she took her mom for granted, but I just feel like she didn't have to kill her. She didn't have to kill her. She knew she was a hustler. Her mom was a hustler. Her mom wasn't a 9-to-5 chick. She wasn't a business chick. She wasn't very disciplined. Like she gamed the system.
I don't think she had to kill her. Like, nobody has to. Like, very few people need to be murdered. Like, that's
Right.
a very high threshold.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what about like the standard of having your children is so low. I live in Colorado, and it's a family unification state.
Mm-hmm.
So by any means, whatever they have to do, they will try to keep the family together. I love your lashes, by the way.
Thank you.
How do you put them on without putting them up here?
The mirror has to be underneath you. Have a mirror you can hold underneath so you can look down.
And you look down like this?
Yeah, because that's why makeup artists can do it, because they're taller than they're standing, you're sitting, and they're dropping them in from above. So you need to be able to look at it from that same angle. Because a lot of makeup artists can't even put fake eyelashes on themselves. They'll tell you that.
Wow.
There are some
You
things
hold the
that's
mirror
harder to
down
do
here.
on yourself, and there are some things that are easier to do on other people.
Mm.
It's way easier to do your own lipstick than it is to do someone else's. But it's way easier, but it's like way harder to do your own fake eyelashes.
Wow. They're perfect
The
every
angles
time.
matter. The angles for everything.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever seen you with messed up makeup. Ever.
Thank you.
In any picture or anywhere. I've watched one of your makeup tutorials, and I was just like, oh, this is too advanced for me.
Well, I mean,
Like,
I've been doing this for like 15 years. I mean, I was always into makeup even when I was a little kid. I always liked it.
Well, I've been doing makeup for a very, very long time. But just because I've been doing it long doesn't mean I'm good at it.
The ambition has not carried you yet.
No, not at all. I'm so upset about Gypsy Rose. I don't know if I'm going to get over that ever. And her being so happy really makes me angry too, because I think she should have did like what Casey Anthony did, like just kind of disappear. Like you got away with it. Go do one of these. Fly under the radar.
I honestly think the only difference is that because Casey Anthony was like, what, like around 12 years ago?
Yeah.
15 years ago? I think the only difference is culture now, because I think if Casey Anthony happened in the generation of TikTok, that she would have gone on a press tour immediately after being acquitted. But I just think now the culture is different, and like everyone liked the TV show, and a lot of people know the story. So I just think because we're more casual and desensitized, it's different. And there is something to be said about, like, you never get over the Greek element of, like, you know, Medea and, like, the mother killing her children. You know, when it goes the other way, it's a little different. But I mean, Gypsy Rose, I think someone, if anybody's smart who's in school right now is studying, like, criminology right now, I think it would be very interesting to study the contrast between the media coverage of the Menendez brothers and Gypsy Rose Lee. That'd be fascinating if you're studying
Mm.
criminology, communications, anything like that, because, like, they both had, if you believe their stories and you look at everything, great. Like, if anyone has a reason to do that, okay. Like, I can,
Yeah.
like, it's up there. It's definitely up there with, like, reasons of, like, we can understand why things happen sometimes.
Right.
But they were treated like animals then, were treated like animals now. Gypsy, completely different situation.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Do you think they're cute?
Not really. Not my type.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
not broadly attracted to all serial killers. No.
Just OJ, Chris Watts.
Yes, he's cute. Chris Watts is cute. Okay. I'm not gonna apologize. I'm not gonna be bashful. It's a fact. He looks like he just looks like he would build you a nice little Mormon house. Like, I don't know. Like,
Oh
I
my
don't know.
God.
He seems efficient.
You know, after I know like heinous crime somebody does, they're
Mm-hmm.
no longer physically attracted to me.
Mm-hmm.
Even though the qualities that made them physically attractive,
Yeah.
I no longer see those. So, for example, when I was in college, I went to college with a guy that had a strong list.
Okay.
And it was like, a few years later, I met another guy that had a list, but he was cute and smart and handsome. I was like, oh, come on, little cartoon character. Like, yes,
Mm.
I was there for it, but it just depended on who had it. I don't know. I can't be attracted to Chris Watts.
I don't think I'm never gonna, like, marry a criminal. Like, if Suge Knight hit on me, I would leave. Like, cause I don't want to. I need a man. If I ever got married, they would have to. I would be working by choice if working at all. Like, I'm not doing
Yeah,
any struggle love nonsense. So what would I be doing with a criminal? Unless they own their own business that was very successful and they were able to get around all the whatevers. But
yeah.
no, I'm not sticking around with some felon
You're
who's.
not writing a man in prison.
No, I like
Good.
things. I like
Yeah.
things, and yeah, I don't. Broke boys don't deserve no. Cardi B said it.
Yeah. I Here's another unpopular opinion about the Chris Watts incident.
Okay.
Um, I think his wife was a lot. His
Oh
wife
yeah,
Shanann,
no.
she was
They
a lot.
should have just
She was a
gotten
lot.
divorced and moved the fuck on. But he didn't want to lose
And he
half
was
his.
and he was her second husband,
Yep.
is what I understand.
Yep.
But Shanann felt like she was a handful. She was a handful. So I don't know.
I mean, as somebody who also is a handful, I also feel bad for every man who's ever fallen in love with me because, like, ugh. But, like, to be very serious, um, if Gypsy Rose's mother not tying her to a wheelchair for 15 years is not a good excuse to kill her, I think Shanann's allowed to be annoying.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's all fair in love and war.
Yeah. But Gypsy Rose mom tying you down got you a house.
She also got a house out of being with Chris. Did you see that place? It was gorgeous.
They were struggling though financially.
Everyone's struggling when they live outside their means.
Okay.
They had money. They were fine. They just wanted to be bougie.
Okay. Okay. So I know we talked about this in the video that no longer exists. Because I'm very worried about like snapping versus it was already in you. I think before you mentioned that you think everybody has the capability to just lose it.
Yeah,
Is that what you
it's the
think?
old Terrence quote. I am human, so nothing human's alien to me. old Greek playwright who was an enslaved person that was freed to write his plays. A lot of them died because I'm talking like from the year like 300 AD or 400 AD or something. Very few survived, but the ones that did survive were comedies. Comedy lives forever. And yeah, Terrence wrote that I am human, so nothing human can be alien to me. And I learned that from listening to Maya Angelou. And I think that's true. Everybody, if you don't have it in you, you have the capacity to understand it. Because if you tell yourself that you can't understand it and you could never do it, you're lying on some level. You're dishonest out loud and dishonest to yourself on some level. Because even if you can say, okay, but I don't understand how it went that far, you're beginning.
Yeah.
You're beginning.
Yeah.
But like
And
I mean, I take that same attitude towards things that I find to be very reprehensible. Like it's not like my morals are formed by where my imagination stops. I think a lot of people, the things that they can't imagine are just off the table, and that's where being a bad person begins. Like my morals do not begin where my imagination stops. Like things that I think are fucked up and evil are things that I could see me or someone like me or someone my age or someone from my neighborhood doing. That's why they're evil, because they're every day, because they're quotidian. It's along the same line of thinking that a lot of people, I don't know if you've read several of her books, but a lot of people consider Toni Morrison in some way to be a Black horror writer because it's so realistic
Yeah.
and sometimes
Yeah.
so graphic and so disgusting that
Yeah.
even though it is reality, it's horror from the truest reality. So
Right.
even, just people doing terrible things to children, people stealing large amounts of money from old people,
Yeah.
just evil things that we can all agree or just should never happen.
Right.
I'm human. Nothing human can be alien to me. I remember growing up in the trailer park I grew up in Springfield, Illinois, and going to the little park next to it and seeing dead cats that had been cut up by freakish little boys in the neighborhood. I probably played with them the day before. I am human. Nothing human can be alien to me. The freak, the evil is not a million miles away on the other part of town, on the other side of the world. It's next door. They're a
Right.
person they're a person just like you. So that's more what I mean. If you can't do it, you can't understand it. And if you can't do either, you live right next to it. And if you can't admit any of those three things, you're lying. You're dishonest somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's why true crime is so fascinating to everybody. Like
Mm-hmm.
all the true crime channels have the most viewers because it's just so fascinating. It's just so
Mm-hmm.
interesting. Yeah.
I've
You
heard
you
the theory. Well, oh, what are you gonna ask?
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I've heard the theory, and I'm not sure if I agree with this. I think I can understand. I can understand how you might be able to support it. But have you ever heard the theory that white women as a group are more interested in true crime than other groups of people because on some level they kind of want to get murdered?
I have heard that. I have
Okay.
heard that, but I thought that was just like just us taking a jab at white women. I didn't know there was any truth to that. I was just like,
Well, I
oh,
can
we're always
understand how you might be able to support it in some like
okay.
tangible way, but I didn't know if that was just some weird thing that hit my corner of the internet. But what I think is like where I could see that being like in one of those like if I have to die, like where that sort of like could be considered a desirable in some communities is like typically if a woman like when you see these true crime documentaries that are really popular about these young women that had terrible things happen to them, they were really pretty and had nice lives and were really interesting and their family loved them. And it's like, wow, only really special girls get murdered. I want to be pretty. Like it's almost sort of like how being anorexic was in 2004, where it's like, well,
Mhm.
pretty girls throw up and have their teeth rot out. I want to be Kate Moss. Like it's very like I am
Yeah.
willingly going to walk into the burning building because I want to feel what everyone else is feeling. Like they're rewarding the bad thing, and I want to be the bad thing because I want the reward.
Yeah, I can get this. Several things. The amount of letters that Gypsy Rose, Chris Watts got in jail, it's astronomical.
Mm-hmm. I didn't write
When
any. I did not write
I'm
any.
so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. So I think that it has something to do with how you were raised, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you grew up in like a home where your father beat your mother, your stepdad beat your mother, and that was your view of like love, like, oh, a man hits you from time to time, but after that, he'll buy you a gift, you'll kiss, you'll make up, it'll be fine. You would think that a man that's a murderer would might maybe be the ultimate love, maybe. I think it's mental programming that's a little off.
Well, I think he is the ultimate version of I'll change him. Like, why would you just settle for some alcoholic or deadbeat or drug addict when you could get a whole murderer and fix them? It's sort of like when people have a dog that's really mean to everybody but them, and they're really proud of their relationship and how close they are. They're like, he bites everybody but me. I'm special. It's back to wanting to
Right.
be special.
Really?
I think because that's what came back the first time around. It's like, I don't know. And then there's also, I think, a little bit of you have to have completely given up on the outside world. That's an important first step to get there. To get
To
to
date
like,
a
I'm gonna marry a serial killer. You have given up on men that you're gonna meet in day-to-day life.
You would have had to.
I
Yeah.
don't think you go from I went on a date with a guy from work 2 weeks ago, and I'm sitting front row in the Richard Ramirez trial, and I'm blowing him kisses. That's not the timeline on
Right.
that. I promise you. You have given up on like a normal relationship a while before we get to I'm gonna marry Chris Watts.
Do you think that's a part of desperation? Like, kind of like, these love scammers that
Hmm.
will go into older people's inboxes and, tell them they're overseas and stranded and ask them for money. And these people would, I watch online something called Social Catfish, I think.
Hmm.
And it's about a bunch of people that are not uh, maybe desirable in the way that
Yeah.
society, because they're older or because, you know what I mean, they're kind of recluse or socially awkward. Do you think the desperation you see on people getting romance scammed is the same desperation that you would have to date a serial killer or to write a serial killer?
Well, I would say that they have similarities and differences because the one core, you're asking me really good questions. The one core similarity that I find that's really important is that it is desperation that overrides your self-preservation instinct.
Mm.
That I think is the important, and there are lots of behaviors that fall into that, whether it's you're at a certain state in drug addiction where you don't really care where you have to go or who you have to talk to or what hour of the night to get certain things,
Yeah.
like you, if you are at a point of desperation that overrides your self-preservation, because typically that's the thing that stops you.
Hmm.
Typically your sense of logic, your healthy sense of fear that your parents probably tried to raise in you, and your your sense of self-preservation are typically, those are your adult breaks. And for people who like are in Alcoholics Anonymous, they will be familiar with the phrase think through the drink. Like, your self-preservation instinct is your thinking through the drink of like your other decisions in life. It's okay, but what happens after this? Oh, am I going to get hurt? Oh, am I going to lose my job? Oh, am I going to lose my house? Oh, is my girlfriend going to leave me? That, um but they lose that because they don't care if they lose their retirement and their life savings. They don't care if that guy kills them 2 weeks after he gets out of prison. They understand that that's a risk, or they lie to themselves and say that they just pushed out of their mind, they didn't think about it. But
Mm-hmm.
it's a desperation that leaves you without logic, without self-preservation. And it has to prey. Not all desperate people are emotionally insecure. Sometimes they're resource insecure, but this
Mm-hmm.
requires emotional insecurity, which is why you will typically find um, women of all ages, but specifically older women. And then if the women are younger, they might have other issues going on. And then you'll see older men. But you don't see a bunch of like normal looking 40-year-old guys forking over 200 grand to Svetlana, who's not real in the Ukraine. They might
Right.
spend that money on some weird political shit, like some weird hunting or some weird like something else. But
Right.
the emotional insecurity is important, and men are a harder target because every man, even the ugliest and the dumpiest, who still lives with his parents and has never accomplished anything in his life, still firmly believes that someone out there is going to love him for him.
Mm.
So women are an easier target because women are taught that you have to bend and change and shut up and take it to get a man to even deal with you, let alone like you or love you. So that's why you'll see these women getting catfished. And they'll get
Right.
catfished for larger sums and for longer periods of time. When it does happen to guys, they tend to hang it up faster.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think women dating married men is in the category of this desperation or not?
No, not at all, not at all, not at all.
Okay.
No, because I think that
Okay.
that is sometimes just a hobby. Um, Married
Okay.
men have been my favorite flavor of ice cream at times. Um, but
And how come? Okay.
I would just say I don't really think, from an ethical point of view, I don't really think that it is. I don't have any problem with that because you didn't take any vows, so it's not your relationship to protect. And then the other really important thing, and I'm speaking from experience here, when a married guy is stepping out of his marriage,
Mm-hmm.
typically, I would say 8 out of 10 times, typically, they don't really care who or what it is. So, like, you're not special. They don't like you. It's like she was out of town for 3 days and you texted him. Like,
Right.
it's not, they're, the situation where there's one person outside the marriage and they have this long, quiet affair, that is kind of a romance novel. That is not
Okay.
nearly as common as people would have you believe.
Okay.
When that
Okay.
does happen, it is typically in the form of prostitutes who they have regular relationships with, not these girlfriends that they have to be emotionally involved with.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I don't think, and I also think dating married men could be really good for your sense of self-preservation. Because if you're not sure if you want to get married or not, I think if you date a few married men, you realize, yeah, no, this ain't worth it. Even when they like
Yeah.
you and they know that they're going to lose half their shit if they leave you, they'll still act a goddamn fool. So there is no protection, even when you make them sign every document known to man. They're
Yeah.
going to do whatever they want, however they want to do it, whenever they want to do it. So if you're not okay with that, don't get into that.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel similarly, like I had a good friend. We were just friends, and
Mm-hmm.
his wife figured out he was cheating on her.
Mm-hmm.
So she called me and she was like, "I know it's you." And I was like, "Nope, close, but not quite."
I was going to do that. I would have done it in 2009.
Right. Either way, you trying to hunt down whoever this is, why don't you talk to him?
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you talk to him? Because when or if you do find this lady,
Mm-hmm.
she owes you nothing.
Yeah.
She owes you nothing. She took no vows with you. She didn't walk. She didn't say a bunch of stuff in front of your friends and family. She don't owe you nothing.
Well, because here's
So
the
I
thing.
think,
If you're a black woman and she's a black woman, that's still your sister. And if you're a woman and you're any type of feminist, that's still your sister. So all the hate you got in your heart, if you have any type of morals, you're still going to act a certain way. Right?
right? I think all that falls apart when we're talking about messing with each other's husbands, but I think that's all, the sisterhood is out the window. But I do think that's why men cheat, because they know your wife is not going to leave you.
Mm-hmm.
She's going to have issues with the other woman and not necessarily you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's any recourse for the man, and that's why men cheat.
Well, you see, I this will get back to what you're talking about. I absolutely promise you. So I don't always have that instinct in the situation, and I am always continually surprised when I see it, because some of my very early influences for that type of situation, it just never went down that way. So like a lot of people know that might follow me on social media, but your audience might not. I trained to be an opera singer for 8 years. That was my life from like 11 to 18, 19. And there are two really important operas from the style that I sort of specialized in. One of which is called Norma, and the other one is Anna Bolena. And they both feature these stories where these women are sort of getting double crossed by a man. And but neither of them, they both take the choice, and they actually come from the same time period, like 1830 and 1831. Like they came from the same time period. They different composers though. They both made the choice to unite together as sisters, as friends, and against him. They in one line, actually, in Anna Bolena, the exact line in Italian is il reo soltanto quita il fiamma in te. The guilty one is the man who built that flame up in you. Like, it's not your fault that things went this way. He went looking after you. He's the man. He's the pursuer. If they want to be these big, strong, tough men, then let's try to hold them accountable for their actions, okay?
Yeah.
And so that's where my
That sounded
instinct
like a
always
Harry
goes,
Potter
that the
spell.
women might be friends out of it somehow, that the women might understand each other somehow. Because in the same way that having a mutual hatred of a group of people can bring people together, or having a mutual hatred of somebody at work can bring you and a coworker together, having one man screw you and someone else over the same way, you can relate to them in a lot of things now. It doesn't have to be an against thing. I don't think.
Okay.
I don't think.
Wow. Can we hear it sounded like a Harry Potter spell to me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what language it was, but you said the translation was, be mad at the person that lit the fire in you. Can you say that again?
Il reo soltanto quita il fiamma in te.
Okay.
What
language is that? Italian.
One of the 9 languages I spent years in.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
But
So,
I firmly believe that it's like you can't make a right out of it by going more wrong. Now that doesn't mean when they go low that you got to go high. But if it's about the same man, every woman who's been screwed over by him, y'all should just form an alliance, go kick his ass. That's how that goes. If they want to go all like Don Juan and just treat a bunch of women like, I hope they all become friends and they all give him his due.
No, that doesn't happen. I don't think that happens.
It
nearly
could.
As much as
You're more powerful together.
I don't think that happens as it should. But going to Cat Williams.
Yes.
Can we talk to this? I am surprised at how emotional men are. And
Aren't
how,
they,
like,
as much as they lie about it?
Yeah. And how, like, drama filled and how gossipy and how, everybody that Cat Williams mentioned is chiming in and they have to say something too. I've been saying that men are more emotional for decades because there's no female rap battle that ended up with anybody deceased.
Absolutely.
There's nobody getting, unalived over spade games or dice games. Like, no, we're
Well,
not doing
it's
that.
like guys want to talk about PMS. Okay, if women are aggressive 1 week out of the month, they can't take it. They're aggressive the whole month long, and we're all just supposed to handle it.
Yeah.
Like, what's that? Yeah, no, I think men are much more emotional than women because I think testosterone tends to make you a little bit more reactive. And then also, men are socialized sort of to say screw you. Like the big difference, like if you watch kids play, like because kids are often split off by gender to go play. Like even if you're talking at
Mhm.
6, 7 years old, if the girls get into a disagreement over like how to play house or what to do or whatever, they would, as typically, you'll find them say, I don't want to fight, let's go do something else. Or okay, like they won't even try and vote on it the way the guys will. The girls just kind of are socialized to want peace and just to get along. But the guys want to be right. The guys want to lead. They're socialized to try and find somebody. No, no, no. I'm the definitive version of events. No, no, no. We're going to do it my way. And then if they can't, they're going to say, screw you. And then they're going to go off and play their own game by themselves. We've seen every 8-year-old boy do it. They're no different when they're 38. If you were stupid in kindergarten, you're stupid as an adult. Nothing moves. Nothing moves.
Yeah. Yeah. That reminds me, there's some kind of British, I think, or it's a European show
Mm-hmm.
where they took like 10 boys, like between the ages of like 11 and 13, and
Mm-hmm.
10 girls, and they put them in separate houses, and they just filmed them, and they were supposed to stay there for like 12 days just
Okay.
to see what would happen. Within hours of being there, the boys destroyed the house. They're like painting on the walls. They're like breaking out windows. They're like breaking furniture, doing all sorts of crazy stuff. They stocked their refrigerator with all sorts of food. None of the healthy food was touched. They ate nothing but junk. The girls, the same age, they're taking turns cooking meals. There was little, if any, damage. They all drug all their little beds or cots to one room so they could all sleep together. They had a little democracy going on. Like one person was trying to be too much, and they kind of all ganged up on her and was like, "Look, you either gotta stop or you gotta stop." But the boys were just savages, and I
Mm-hmm.
thought that was so interesting, like how different, like little, how much more mature these little
Yeah.
girls were.
And that's how deeply before that they even are on the dating into puberty, like they're like in the very front end of it. Like that's how much all the socialization every day at school, every commercial they've seen, every movie they've seen, every visit to the toy store, every joke, every song, that's how firmly it is ingrained that by the time that they're
Mhm.
12, they are just kind of sort of like that.
Yeah, there's a show on Netflix called "I Am a Killer."
Okay.
And it interviews people who have killed people while
Okay.
they're in prison. They tell their story of what happened. The women are like, my back was against the wall. I didn't know what to do. I had to survive this situation. Like, I didn't see another way out. It was going to be me or him. The men were like, that heifer got sassy, or uh,
Literally.
yeah, or it was, I just couldn't take it anymore, or kind of a snap, like the
Well, have you
men's story
noticed that
was
when
more.
men kill other men, they tend to have a reason or a situation? But when they kill women,
Mhm.
it's very flippant. They sort of just felt like it that day.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
But
kind of
all the
disgusting.
yeah, but all the men's stories sound like mental health issues to me. Like none
Mm-hmm.
of them were like legitimate, like I was in a bad situation, like I had to figure. All of them were like, oh, I just went off. All
Mm-hmm.
of them sounded like mental health. All the women sounded like, man, girl, do you need me to write a letter to Congress? Like, what do you need me to do? But
Seriously.
yeah, yeah,
There are exceptions to everything, but I think generally you're kind of proving the point.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, but with the Cat Williams situation, I was just shocked about how, and maybe it's not so much of them, the men being emotional. Maybe they're just trying to ride the publicity,
Mhm.
ride. Maybe they're just on that. Maybe that's why they're chiming in. Maybe because he mentioned a lot of names. Now's a good time to build up following, to get more
Mhm.
views on videos if they respond. So maybe it's more strategic. Maybe I'm not giving people enough credit.
Maybe, but I don't know. I think that men don't often consider their emotions as emotional because typically the palette has much less colors on it. And they don't really look at frustration or rage as emotions.
Mm,
And when you're not
yeah.
like happy and chill, that's kind of pretty much the only other side of it. There's like neutral, happy, chill, and then there's like frustrated and in a rage. That's kind of it. And so they don't really
Hmm.
look at it as having emotions because, like, that's like someone saying, like, you had a big lunch today, and it's like, I always eat this.
Yeah.
Like, they don't notice nothing.
Yeah. Wow. That's crazy. Well, Matt, I'm looking at the time and I cannot hold you forever, even though I want to. Before I let you go, I want to
Yes.
ask you, how was your show last
Oh,
time you spoke?
yeah. My show last night at the Annoyance Theater was really fun. We ended up, like, it wasn't sold out, but it was like 98%. There were like 3 chairs in the back. Like, it was fine. So we basically sold that one out. That was really fun. I cannot wait to get the video back so I can, like, have a lot of clips to show you all. It's going to be so much fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a great time.
Awesome. Awesome. How long were you on stage?
I was on stage for, okay, so I was supposed to do 20 and I kind of did 24 because I never know when to leave. You got to come out and give me the hook.
Okay. Awesome. I can't wait to see the footage from that. But thank you so much for chit chat and engaging with me. I really appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks, Kamelah. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you for having me. I really had fun today.
You too. Bye bye.